Drought takes toll on country's largest cotton producer. Drought takes toll on country's largest cotton producer. Drought takes toll on country's largest cotton producer. And a little bit more natural. Drought takes toll on country's largest cotton producer. Drought takes toll on country's largest cotton producer. So let's focus on to take a toll. To take a toll. A drought takes a toll on country's largest cotton producer. A drought, we're not going to focus on that in this episode, so I'll tell you now. A drought, D-R-O-U-G-H-T, is a dry period, an especially dry period, an uncharacteristically dry period. So a drought is taking toll on the country's largest cotton producer. Here's the story from, difficult name for me, SUMAN NAISHADHAM and Eric Gay. This is from the AP in Lubbock, Texas. The cotton harvest is about to get underway or started in the Texas High Plains, the wind-swept region that grows most of the crop in the nation's top cotton-producing state. But Barry Evans, like many others, has already walked away from more than 2,000 acres, or 809 hectares, of his bone-dry fields. It just didn't come up. We hardly had anything. It just wasn't in the cards this year, said Evans, a third-generation cotton grower. Extreme heat and a dearth of rainfall have severely damaged much of this year's cotton harvest in the U.S., which produces about 35% of the world's crop. Back for the second segment. The headline was Drought takes a toll on country's largest cotton producer. Drought takes a toll on country's largest cotton producer. Our focus word, I believe, was actually an expression, not a word. To take a toll on something. Toll is T-O-L-L. To take a toll on something. What could it mean when one thing takes a toll on something else, or if something is taking a toll on you? So let's give an example. Let's do a baby, right? Maybe you're flying on a plane and you might have a baby crying on the airplane. Maybe you're sitting next to someone and you're saying to them, the crying baby is taking a toll on my sanity. The crying baby is taking a toll on my patience. Or Hurricane Katrina, the hurricane in the United States in the early 2000s. Hurricane Katrina in the past took a toll on the city of New Orleans. Hurricane Katrina took a toll on the city of New Orleans. All the drinking, all the binge drinking is taking a toll on my health, is what the doctor said. All the binge drinking is taking a toll on my health. I've had these shoes for a decade. They have taken a toll. So what could that mean when something is taking a toll, or if one thing takes a toll on something else, like a drought? I don't remember in recording the first segment if we explained drought, D-R-O-U-G-H-T. The O-U-G-H-T, right, is horrible in English, but in this word it's ow, drought. It's a dry period, extremely dry period. California is in a drought. Brazil is in some areas in a drought where there is not a lot of rainfall. So the drought is taking a toll on the country's largest cotton producer. Or the other examples I mentioned, baby on the plane, drinking, taking a toll on your health. This means to take a beating, to do lots of damage or degradation, to have a degrading, damaging effect or impact over time. So when a drought is taking toll on a cotton producer, cotton is algodão. The dry weather is damaging, is having a damaging impact on the production of cotton, or as we say in California, cotton, just like button or happen. We don't really pronounce the on or the en a lot in English, like weaken, strengthen. So let's see, anything else that we could pick out from this 3 or 4 sentences here. Let's see. In the first sentence, actually, to get underway is an expression. The cotton harvest is about to get underway in the Texas High Plains. So what could that mean if something is getting underway? Class is getting underway. The summer is getting underway. It's starting. It means starting. Just starting. To get going. What else? Crop. Identified crop. C-R-O-P. The same first sentence. The cotton harvest is about to get underway or start in the Texas High Plains, the wind-swept or wind-affected region that grows most of the crop in the nation's top cotton-producing state. So crop, the crops. Produce, production, usually farmed produce, things that you in agriculture, right? What are Brazil's most common crops, right? Soja, soy, or corn. In the U.S., in California, we have almonds or amendoim, peanuts, corn as well. Vegetables are a crop. So things that you produce, usually from the earth, usually food, or just generally, right? We call that produce in the orchifruti. If you go to the supermarket, you won't see crops, the word crops. You won't see the phrase farmed food or no, you see produce. But crops would be the things on the supply side. Anything else that we can pick out from the short sentences that we read from the AP article? Bone dry. Where is that? And they describe bone dry fields. But Barry Evans, like many others, has already walked away from more than 2,000 acres, or 809 hectares, a lot of land, of his bone dry fields. Bone dry here just means so dry you can see the bone. There's no fat, there's no, in this case, water, right? Nothing green. It's dry, bone dry. It's not a common expression unless you are in agriculture or agribusiness. Anything else here? Hardly. And here's a quote that I read in the first segment. It just didn't come up. We hardly had anything. It just wasn't in the cards this year. Hardly means barely. Almost not at all. Barely. We hardly had anything. Some other examples. He hardly gave any effort or força. He hardly gave any effort. I hardly noticed his new haircut. I barely didn't notice. I hardly made any changes. Anything else here? The expression, it just wasn't in the cards this year, said Evans, a third-generation cotton grower or producer. So there's a cotton producer. He's mentioning that it's not, or it wasn't in the cards. This is talking. We use this expression when we're expressing that we didn't have destiny on our side. We didn't have fate. Think of literally a card game, maybe poker. I don't know if anyone in Brazil. In Brazil, poker is not as common as in the U.S. We have more places to play, casinos, right? But poker, you get two cards, and well, that's your destiny. Whatever cards you get, you have to work with. If destiny or luck or fortune gives you good cards, then it's in the cards. You have a good chance to succeed. So this farmer, in the context of talking about a drought, he's saying that, yeah, shit, man, it just wasn't in the cards this year. We're not producing anything because of the dry weather. A dearth of rainfall, extreme heat, and a dearth. So a lack, uma falta, not much. Extreme heat and a dearth of rainfall have severely damaged much of this year's cotton harvest. Excuse me, that's a fine. Coughing on the air. Extreme heat and a dearth of rainfall have severely damaged much of this year's cotton harvest in the United States, which produces about 35% of the world's crop. So a dearth meaning not much, right? There's a drought. It's dry. Not much rainfall. To border. This was at the end, actually, of the first segment. Nowhere is this more apparent than the flat, dry stretch or expanse of Texas extending some 250 miles from Lubbock, which is a place, to the tip of the Texas Panhandle, bordering Oklahoma. We use bordering when something is on the edge or limit, up to the limit or border. So we don't just use this with physical limitations or borders or fronteras. We use this with, with behaviors. Let me think of it. His behavior was bordering on offensive, meaning he was behaving in a way that was almost offensive. He said something that was close to the border of being offensive, but maybe not quite obviously offensive. That's it. I didn't really identify any other words or phrases. Again, I only read 3 or 4 sentences of the the Associated Press article. This one was from SUMAN, NAISHADHAM, and Eric Gay. So now we have our question segment. Our first question: have you ever spent any time on a farm, even to visit? What was that like? If no, does that interest you? Have you ever spent any time on a farm, even just to visit? What was that like? If no, does that interest you? In the U.S., I don't know in all states, but I'm from California, urban San Jose in California, Northern California, Silicon Valley. But even there, when we're younger, they take you to a farm. You pick apples. San Jose used to be, purely agriculture, in its origin. But you go to a farm, you make butter, you pick apples. As an adult, I can't recall. I don't remember being on a farm as an adult at any point. So I'm always been living in an urban environment. I would be interested to go to a farm. I can say this: living in California, going to school in the South in Orange County, having family in San Diego, having to drive from Southern California to Northern California, from Northern California to Southern California. If you've been to California and you've made that drive, not on the coast, You take the 5 freeway or highway in the middle of the state, and if you look left, farms. If you look right, farms. And they have lots of signs, political signs about water and resources and the devil Democrat politicians who don't allow the state enough water to have more farming opportunity. Or I mean, you can look on this if you want, or research, but those signs you can see. Anytime you drive on the 5 freeway, if you're past Los Angeles, you'll see those signs. So, again, have you ever spent any time on a farm, even just to visit? What was it like? If no, does that interest you? Are you interested at all in the agro life in Brazil? Do you know anybody who lives on a farm or operates a farm, or any farm workers? My family used to work in the farmers insurance. Um, Cesar Chavez, right? Where we have lots of migrant workers coming from Latin America and Mexico, farming and working for little to no pay, and the farmers movement was the work of trying to protect migrant workers. So, hey, maybe you know people who work on farms. Maybe you know people who operate farms. That's kind of the intent of the question. Number 2, as far as you know, has drought or extremely dry weather had any impact on your local economy? As far as you know, has drought or extremely dry weather had any impact on your local economy? I mean local, your city, the prices you pay in the grocery store. In your lifetime, has this changed at all? Have you noticed any changes in your lifetime about this? Number 3, is there anything taking a toll on you right now in life? Is there anything taking a toll on you right now in life? Maybe it's an election, right, in Brazil, the toxicity of election season. Maybe it's someone in the family who's sick. Maybe you're ill or sick, or mental health is a more commonly talked about problem. Maybe the news, just seeing the news every day, is taking a toll on your life right now. So again, this is focused on the phrasal verb or the expression, taking a toll. Is there anything taking a toll on you right now in life? Our last question, how do you think your country's economy might change as a result of climate change in your lifetime? How do you think your country's economy might change as a result of climate change in your lifetime? Maybe you notice changes. In California, we're in a drought. I live in Sao Paulo, but Sao Paulo too, actually, but much, much, much different. California is in a severe drought, and they're building, and a lot of the politics are impacted by, hey, what do? We don't have water. Where do we get it? We used to get it from the Colorado River. That is not so possible anymore because that's drying up too. And negotiations and deals are harder to reach. In California, in Southern California now, they're approving desalination plants or factories to convert ocean water into usable water. So that's just one example. But how do you think your country's economy might change as a result of climate change in your lifetime? And think in the future too. What would it look like? The different impacts that you might face in your economy, your country's, right? Not just your local economy, your country's economy in your lifetime. That's all for the segment. The questions are, again, intended for you to think about, to reflect on, hopefully in English. Hopefully you have some doubts, right? Hopefully this is not too easy for you. If you have any comments or you want to share reflections or you want to just practice producing English, you can do that with me and put that into written form or reach out or contact me in a video or any of the channels or options that you have to practice and do it early. Hopefully, maybe you'll probably get some kind of feedback from me, and that's the intention. So go ahead and think and reflect on the questions.